Night 24. Back at Jan camp, Telly and Nicola talk about the 7-2 vote. Telly is curious how Neil found out about the blind side, and Nicola isn't sure either. She didn't say a word to the trio, and she has a feeling people are gonna start blaming her for something she didn't do. Telly shakes her head and promises that she trusts her, but in reality, Telly truly thinks Nicola spilled the beans to Neil since they worked together during the Divin vote. Meanwhile, Neil talks to Kiana, telling her he's still working with her ever since they made a final 2 deal early in the game. Kiana knows and tells him he doesn't need to remind her. She's just worried for him since people are associating him with Allison, and that girl is on the bottom now. Neil knows and says they need to get some control on this tribe. There are 8 people remaining, so there's a good chance they can get 3 other people to work with them. They have Clever and Allison as locks, and Neil hopes Nicola or B. Marie will side with them to make that 5-6 votes. That just leaves Telly and Ryan on the outs, who are clearly working together. Kiana knows and says she really wants to break up that duo, and she actually feels like Telly is the bigger threat. She can own the Cindy blindside at the end. Ryan still has B. Marie as an enemy. Neil agrees and says that although he loves Telly to death, she's their biggest threat right now. Later on, Neil pulls B. Marie aside, and she immediately thanks him for trusting her last vote. Neil says of course. He didn't want to let her go like that. B. Marie is still in shock that Cindy tried to blindside her, and now she's even more hurt knowing Allison was part of it. Neil says that they really need to beware of Telly and Ryan though. They had full control over last vote, which scares him now. B. Marie agrees and says she really wants Ryan out. He's been after her for days now. Neil says he'll see if they can possibly split the votes if they can get 6 total votes split between them. B. Marie says it shouldn't be hard if people have a brain here. It's evident that Ryan is a massive social threat. As the sun rises, Allison talks to Ryan, admitting she hasn't slept at all. She can't stop thinking about the blind side last night. Ryan tells her not to worry about it because the flip was very last minute anyway. People were just afraid of letting her know about the blind side, so most people kept their lips shut. Allison understands, telling Ryan that she still really trusts him. She warns him of B. Marie because she might go after him again, and Ryan knows. He wants to try taking her out tomorrow, and hopefully they'll have the votes. It's day 25, so it's time for the immunity challenge. Clever and Neil return their necklaces to Justin, and he goes on to explain the challenge rules. In this challenge, everyone must hang on to their moving wall and avoid falling off. If you fall, you are out. The last player standing will win immunity, safe from tonight's vote. The rest will be vulnerable. The challenge starts up and everyone gets moving on their wall. Kiana struggles right away, finding it really hard to get her footing right. However, she finds out how to climb the wall pretty quickly and climbs normally. B. Marie grunts meanwhile, finding it difficult to hold on to the wall while it moves down. Ryan gets really close to the ground at one point but stays on. Unfortunately for Telly though, she is the first to drop out, landing on her 2 feet. Kiana then lets out a scream as she almost falls off, but she regains her grip and tries to catch up with the wall. Neil almost falls as well but recovers successfully. As time passes, Nicola is one of the only people staying solid, not messing up a single time. Clever is then the second to fall off the wall, falling right on their back. Not too long after, Kiana does the same. Minutes pass by, and B. Marie also jumps off her wall, meaning it's down to 4 people. We have Allison, Neil, Ryan, and Nicola still fighting for immunity. Nicola's feet dangle at one point, but she successfully recovers, climbing back up to the top of her wall. Neil though falls down, so he's out of this challenge. Ryan also falls not too long after, leaving Nicola and Allison in this challenge. 35 minutes pass by, and both girls continue to fight for their lives. Then, Allison falls off her wall, which means Nicola has one individual immunity, safe from tonight's vote. Justin puts the necklace on Nicola, congratulating her in the process. He confirms that someone from the other 7 will be the 15th person voted out and the 4th member of the jury. With that, everyone heads back to camp. Back at camp, Ryan and Allison chat as Allison laughs at how close she was in that challenge. She really feels like she needed that, but Ryan tells her not to worry. Tonight, they will try to take out B. Marie. Allison is good with this. She tells Ryan again that she is loyal to him, so he can lean on her whenever he needs to. Ryan appreciates this and tells her to just lie about her vote to Neil and B. Marie since they can't be trusted, of course. Allison nods, showing she understands. Later on, Neil and B. Marie chat by a fire pit about the plan tonight. B. Marie asks Neil if they are doing the split vote, but Neil starts to think that perhaps they should just pour their votes onto one of Telly or Ryan. He knows B. Marie wants Ryan out, but he breaks the news to her that Telly is seen more as a threat right now, and she will get votes more likely than Ryan will. B. Marie isn't happy to hear this, of course, but she trusts Neil and tells him she's on board to take out Telly tonight. He says that they'll just get Kiana, Clever, Allison, and Nicola on board. They cannot tell Ryan about this plan because he's friends with Telly. B. Marie understands and says they should go talk with those people right now. They do just that, both finding Nicola and filling her in on this plan. Nicola finds this move huge because Telly is definitely a big player. Neil tells Nicola not to tell her or Ryan about this move. Nicola obviously says yes and tells them not to worry about her. Kiana later comes by the shelter zone, and all 3 move to get her into their conversation. Neil tells her that the plan to take Telly out is on. Kiana smiles and says she can't wait to make this move on her. Neil confirms they have 4 on her already. They just need Clever and Allison, and then that's it. B. Marie later fills Clever in, letting them know that Kiana, Nicola, and Neil are all on board for the move against Telly. Clever is stunned to hear Telly's name, asking her the reason for wanting her out. B. Marie says that Telly is a huge strategic and social threat. She needs to go before her and Ryan run this game. Clever says they'll think about it, which of course alarms B. Marie. She asks Clever if they actually need time to think about it or if they are on board with this plan, and Clever says they don't want to promise anything because they want to talk with some others like Kiana. B. Marie lets them be, telling them she'll let them talk with Kiana in that case. However, Clever later finds Nicola and asks her if she knows about this Telly blindside, and Nicola admits she knows about it. She just never got the chance to talk to anyone about it after that conversation happened. Clever thinks this is a risky move because they will be letting Neil, Allison, and B. Marie have more control. At least if they can keep Telly and Ryan, they are only a duo. Nicola smiles and says she sees through what Neil is doing. He's been the dominant figure in this merge for almost every vote now, and he's probably the biggest threat. Not Telly. Clever thinks they should warn Telly and Ryan so they get on board to vote Neil out. Nicola breathes out, anxious about this move now. She hopes it works because if they miss their shot, they are in deep danger. Meanwhile, B. Marie finds Allison, filling her in on this Telly blindside. Allison simply smiles and says she's on board since she has no one else to rely on except her and Neil. B. Marie smiles and says she obviously has her back. She still trusts Okunjin all the way. That's why they need Telly gone so they are a stronger unit. Later on, Ryan, Allison, Clever, and Telly sit at a bench, and Clever immediately spills the beans that there's a plan being spread by B. Marie and Neil that a Telly blindside is in the works. Telly says shut up right away, shocked and terrified at the same time. She asks to clarify, and Allison speaks up instead of Clever, confirming that B. Marie has told her to vote Telly because she's a quote-unquote huge social and strategic player. Ryan laughs in response and says that it's obvious Neil is going to stick to B. Marie now. Telly calls him a really dumb player and says they need to vote him out tonight. Allison says she knows he has to go. She already promised Ryan to vote with this group right here. Clever says they are just nervous that Kiana won't get the message because she has been hanging out with Neil all day. Telly doesn't like that, thinking that Kiana is going to vote with him. They need to split the votes nevertheless. She tells Clever to get Kiana on board to vote B. Marie. She herself will also do it, and she thinks Allison should also vote B. Marie just because she's in this conversation now to hear this from her. Clever says Nicola will 100% vote Neil tonight, so Telly confirms that Ryan, Nicola, and Clever are voting Neil, while herself, Allison, and hopefully Kiana vote B. Marie. If Neil doesn't have an idol, he goes to jury. All three are good with this plan. Telly and Neil have a chat, both smiling at each other as they ask about the plan tonight. Neil doesn't know who the vote is since it's clear he's not in the power position this round. Nobody filled him in last vote to get Cindy out, so he's out of the loop this round as well. Telly says she heard B. Marie's name. Neil doesn't say anything, continuing to smile. Telly asks him if he's close to B. Marie, and Neil says no. He says he was actually gonna vote her last tribal, so he's obviously down to vote her this time as well. Telly says okay and giggles, telling him that they are solid together in that case. Before tribal, Kiana and Ryan talk, and Ryan fills her in that they are voting Neil out tonight. Just in case he has an idol, Kiana needs to vote B. Marie, so she is plan B in that case. Kiana says of course, and their conversation is interrupted as people come their way. It's night 25, and everyone arrives to tribal council. Justin tells the group to have a seat, and he introduces Cindy as their newest addition to the jury who doesn't look too happy. Justin then smiles as the eighth, telling them he honestly never has a clue what will happen at tribal council because the discussion usually doesn't mean anything in terms of who is going home. Everyone laughs, and Telly comments that it's a common trend here on second chances. People are playing this game really well. There are a lot of good liars on this tribe. Justin asks Allison if she agrees that there are good liars here, and Allison says it's convenient he asked her this specific question since she was a victim to a bunch of liars. She was under the impression last vote that B. Marie was going home, but she was the one left out of Cindy's blind side. However, her and B. Marie made up now, so they are good. Justin asks B. Marie if she feels they did make up, and B. Marie says yes. She says that sometimes in this game, you need to move past things and avoid thinking about revenge. Revenge is mainly related to emotions unless the person you are targeting is absolutely bad for your game moving forward. Justin then asks Clever if they know who they need to target tonight for their own game, and Clever says it's hard to know for sure. Someone you feel close to might be talking badly behind your back. That's something that occurred between B. Marie and Cindy actually, where Cindy wanted to take her out. Cindy remains still on the jury bench and looks at B. Marie, who awkwardly smiles at Justin. B. Marie admits she had no clue Cindy was going after her, and now everyone knows she herself tried voting Ryan out, but that didn't happen even closely. Ryan says that he doesn't hold grudges, so she really needs to let go of that. B. Marie says she is letting go of it and she has moved on from that. She tells Ryan she still trusts him. They made up not too long ago. Justin asks Nicola if tonight's vote is just going to be a blindside again, and Nicola isn't sure. She doesn't want to say because she might jinx herself and be blindsided herself. She thinks the vote will go one way, but it also might not. All she knows is that there's a threat on this tribe that people need to take out to open this game up. Neil smiles along with Telly, who both think Nicola is talking about the other person. Justin then says that he wants to see what crazy move will happen tonight, so they should get right to this vote.
I'll tally the votes. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Alright, I'll read the votes. First vote. B. Marie. Neil. That's 1 vote B. Marie, 1 vote Neil. Neil. That's 2 votes Neil, 1 vote B. Marie. Telly. Telly. 2 votes Neil, 2 votes Telly, 1 vote B. Marie. B. Marie. We're tied, 2 votes B. Marie, 2 votes Neil, 2 votes Telly. Telly. That's 3 votes Telly, 2 votes B. Marie, 2 votes Neil, 1 vote left. Neil. We have a tie between Telly and Neil. We will re-vote. Neither of them will vote this time, while everyone else must vote Telly or Neil. It's time to vote. I'll tally the votes. I'll read the votes. First vote. Neil. Telly. 1 vote Neil, 1 vote Telly. Neil. Telly. We're tied, 2 votes Telly, 2 votes Neil. Neil. That's 3 votes Neil, 2 votes Telly, 1 vote left. 15th person voted out of Survivor Second Chances and the 4th member of our jury. Neil.
Neil feels really blindsided by this vote, and so does B. Marie, looking around the tribe full of liars. Ryan comments to B. Marie that she failed to flip yet again, and Kiana meanwhile looks really upset by this blindside. Telly gets up as Neil comes by, asking him if he can forgive her, and he says she got to him and congratulates her on that. They hug and she thanks him for understanding. He puts his torch down next to Justin and watches the torch get snuffed. He heads out with a smirk on his face, still stunned that Telly pulled off yet another big move. Justin tells the remaining players to head back to camp, so they make their way there. Neil's final thoughts. Neil rubs his chin and laughs to himself, really impressed with how Telly reacted to him trying to blindside her. She got him good, and he can respect that. He feels like people saw him as a big threat, and people were right about it. He had a really good connection with both Kiana and B. Marie, and if he made Final 6 with them, he was locked in for Final 3. He's mainly surprised that Nicola, Clever, and Allison worked with Telly on this vote, but he likes seeing how they are playing for themselves. They opened up this game, so he's excited to see how it plays out. Back at Jen Jan's camp, Kiana goes up to Allison, visibly pissed that people flipped on Neil. She tells Allison she cannot believe people flipped on them, including Clever, who she thought was by her side on this vote. Allison stands awkwardly, nodding her head the whole time, yet really confused by what Kiana is saying. Kiana continues to rant, telling Allison that they are both screwed next tribal if they don't get themselves out of their hole. Allison then breaks the news that she actually wasn't the third vote for Telly, so she's talking to the wrong person. Kiana pauses and stays silent for a moment, and then bursts out laughing, calling herself really dumb for thinking this. Allison says B-Marie was obviously on the outs and was plan B for everyone in the case Neil played an idol. Kiana apologizes and says she really thought herself and Allison were the ones on the outs of this. She asks Allison if she knows who came up with this plan, but Allison tells her she can't say because she isn't the type to rat her close allies out. Kiana respects that and says they can catch up tomorrow if she would like. Meanwhile, Clever tells Telly that they can see how pissed Kiana is as she's talking with Allison, and Telly hugs Clever. She tells Clever not to worry because Kiana can't be mad at them for making a move against someone who has flipped on Kiana before. Clever hopes their chat isn't awkward once it happens. Telly simply tells Clever to tell Kiana that nobody is upset with her so she doesn't freak out. Plus, they will have an easy vote against B-Marie next tribal, so there's nothing to worry about. B-Marie talks to Ryan, telling him that he really got her good twice now. Ryan jokes with her and tells her she can't pull the rug from underneath him. It's just not possible. B-Marie sighs with a smile on her face, telling him that him and Telly really got her good. Ryan tells her that he has to give credit to everyone part of that vote. B-Marie tells Ryan that at this point, she just needs to go searching for an idol. She has nothing else she can do unless she can win immunity. Ryan doesn't say much in response and leaves her be. It's day 26, and it's time for the next immunity challenge. Nicola hands back the necklace, and Justin explains the challenge rules. In this, everyone must race through the outback and reach a checkpoint in the form of a bathroom stall. Once there, they must touch the building and run back to their starting mat. The first person to race there and back will win immunity, safe from this vote. Everyone understands, and the challenge then begins with everyone racing off to that checkpoint. They all run, and B-Marie almost trips because she's not wearing proper shoes. She's behind everyone else and tries her best to run, at one point taking her shoes off but putting them back on because the ground is really hot. Everyone continues to jog, realizing that running really fast won't help for now. 5 minutes later, everyone continues to jog, starting to feel the heat getting to all of them. They eventually cross a giant bridge with Nicola being in the front of everyone else. Ryan looks at the stunning view, saying wow out loud. Nicola begins to feel gashed, but she continues pushing herself to reach the checkpoint. They all finally reach the checkpoint, most people walking to go touch the building since they are really tired. Everyone then starts jogging back without Kiana and Ryan, who take a few seconds to catch their breath, but they eventually follow everyone else. Telly now has the lead as she goes much faster. B-Marie then sprints behind Telly and Telly goes faster to keep up her lead. They eventually slow down a bit from exhaustion, which allows everyone else to catch up on the bridge. Telly and B-Marie continue to have the lead and everyone else is behind them, waiting for the right moment to sprint. Everyone is extremely tired by the time they get close to the starting mat, and they all dash for the mat really fast. In the end, Telly is the first to reach the mat, which means Telly has one individual immunity, safe from the vote. Everyone is gassed and try congratulating her verbally, but most just side hug her and pant from exhaustion. Justin confirms that Telly will not go home tonight. As for the rest, someone will be the 16th person eliminated and the 5th member of the jury. Everyone heads back to camp. Back at camp, a desperate B-Marie tells Ryan that she has no choice but to vote with him now. She tells him she's all his to use as a number. She promises she will never flip on him or Telly moving forward. She literally has nowhere else to go. Ryan tells her that it's really hard to trust that claim because she has tried voting both him and Telly out twice in a row now. B. Marie again tells Ryan that she is going to work with him and Telly moving forward. She promises she isn't going to try taking them out. She has no way of doing so anyway. Ryan then asks her if she has a name in mind, and she says she'll vote Kiana if she has to. She knows Kiana is the other one on the outs, so she'll do that if she must. Ryan says she should vote Clever then in case Kiana has an idol, and B. Marie says she will. Meanwhile, Allison has a funny chat with Telly as she recalls everything Kiana told her last night since Kiana thought the two of them were on the outs of the vote. Telly laughs uncontrollably, calling Kiana a cutthroat player. She never expected her to flip like this. It actually reminds her of when Nicola once tried to flip on her, and that's a moment she never wants to revisit. Allison then asks Telly if the vote is just B. Marie, or if they are doing Kiana. Telly says she'd rather do B. Marie tonight because Clever won't be keen to vote Kiana out right now. Plus, Ryan is desperate to get B. Marie out, so they may as well do it. Allison is good with this and says she'll keep this conversation away from B. Marie and Kiana. Ryan later plays chess with Nicola, letting her know they are good to vote B. Marie tonight. She tried to get back into his good graces, but he doesn't trust her obviously. Nicola says that B. Marie will try to do whatever she can to survive, but everyone sees right through her bull crap. Ryan says that B. Marie had a good run until she didn't. Her biggest mistake was trying to take him and Telly out. Nicola agrees and says she really loves their Kurtjar alliance. She's glad the three of them can trust each other so well now. Meanwhile, Kiana sits with Telly, Allison, and Clever to ask them if they are voting her out tonight or not. Clever asks her if she wants to talk about last night, but Kiana says she'd rather not. She knows she messed up trusting Neil over Telly, so she's not going to think about it anymore. Telly asks Kiana though why she felt the need to betray her like that. She really wants to know the reason. Kiana then claims that Neil told her that Telly and Ryan are gunning for her, so she thought this was a defensive move of her to vote Telly. Telly doesn't know whether to believe this from Kiana or not, but nevertheless tells her that they are all voting B. Marie tonight. Kiana says she'll do it because she doesn't have a good relationship with her anyway. B. Marie sits with Allison, telling her she feels really sad. She feels like her game is over tonight, and Allison admits that she can't lie about it. She confirms she's going home tonight. B. Marie cries and says she really deserves to go home after flipping on Telly. She had a final two deal with Telly and she betrayed her before Telly did anything to her. Allison rubs B. Marie's back as she gets emotional, and B. Marie continues to trash herself for making that move against Telly last vote. She deeply regrets it and wishes she could go back in time. It's night 26, and it's time for tribal council. Everyone sits down and Justin welcomes the jury, Neil thanking him for the warm welcome. Justin then starts up the discussion, telling Jen that they are days away from reaching the finale. Justin asks Telly how she felt winning today's immunity challenge, and Telly says she had a rush of energy today when they had to run. It's because she received votes last night, so she knew winning immunity would be crucial, especially because her unexpected nemesis in B. Marie was right behind her. B. Marie grins and Justin asks B. Marie about that nemesis comment, and she says that Telly has every right to distrust her. She genuinely feels bad for voting her last tribal council. She feels like she turned against a really close friend and feels like tonight is the only way she can make things right. If she goes to jury, she deserves it and won't beat herself up for it. But of course, she would like to stay and continue fighting. She is letting Telly and Ryan decide if she's good for them or not. She already promised to vote with them moving forward. Justin then asks Ryan how he feels about that promise, and Ryan says it's really hard to trust anything she says because she showed how cutthroat she can be. Telly adds on that B-Marie never warned her about her getting votes, so it's evident that B-Marie's intention was to cut her, despite being close friends. B-Marie looks down, feeling way more guilty now. Telly looks at B-Marie and tells her not to feel so down on herself. It's just a game, and she can respect the game move, or at least the attempted move. B-Marie says she never thought she would find a move so difficult. She feels like she was super cold and cutthroat in Season 2. She literally betrayed her own closest ally at Final 7, and here she is again, voting a close friend and now going home in 7th. She fully regrets making a cold move by going against Telly like that. She really hopes their friendship can continue outside the game, and Telly smiles and says of course. Nicola speaks up, telling B-Marie that she has nothing to feel bad about. They all had to make difficult decisions in this game, and will still have to in this end game. They all respect her at the end of the day, and Ryan supports that point. He tells B-Marie that it's all fun and games. He never took anything personally with her. B-Marie breathes out and nods, thanking them all for respecting her. Allison lays her head on her shoulder, hugging her and telling her that they all think of her as a great player in the end, so that's why they have to vote her out. B-Marie nods and wipes away any tears that flow down her face. Justin then asks if there is anything else anyone wants to add, and Telly quickly tells B-Marie that she loves her no matter what tonight, and B-Marie says the same. With that, Justin gets everyone prepared to vote.
I'll tally the votes. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Alright, I'll read the votes. First vote. Clever. B-Marie. 1 vote Clever, 1 vote B-Marie. B-Marie. That's 2 votes B-Marie. B-Marie. 3 votes B-Marie, 1 vote Clever. 16th person voted out of Survivor Second Chances and the 5th member of our jury. B-Marie.
B-Marie gets up, looking at Telly to pretend like she's pissed, but then she laughs and says she's kidding and that she loves every single person here. As she heads for her torch, Allison looks up at her and says she'll miss her, and B-Marie pats her shoulder. Rokio smiles the whole time from the sidelines, not caring a single bit for B-Marie's emotional exit. B-Marie puts her torch down and huffs in front of Justin, telling him she's happy to have played again. Justin thanks her for coming back and snuffs her torch. She looks at the rest and waves goodbye, and they all wave back. She heads on out, leaving just 6 players in the game. Justin then congratulates the 6 for reaching the end game. They only have 4 more days to go, and 3 more days of tribal councils. He tells them to keep alert as it would be terrible to go home right before the final tribal council. With that, everyone heads back to camp, and Justin wishes them a good night's rest. Next time on Survivor's Second Chances. It's been a long 26 days of Survivor. It wasn't just a typical Survivor season though. It was a season with 22 second chancers, and now only 6 of them remain. The game isn't over yet, because these people have 3 more vote-offs to get through, and then they have to face a jury of 8. With this being one of the most competitive finale yet, what on earth is going to happen? Who will win the title of sole survivor? Who will be robbed from reaching the end? There's still so much that'll go down, so come back for the 3-part episode airing on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. B. Marie's final thoughts. B. Marie wants to leave this game feeling nothing but positive about her own game. She has to admit to herself that she played really well, at least up to the final 10 stage. After that, she feels like she made a lot of missteps, mainly trying to push for Ryan to go home. She underestimated how strong him and Tully were and how persuasive they are. At this point, they both deserve to win this game, so she will root for them in the jury. However, if they don't reach the end, she'll hear out the rest to help her decision on who she should vote for.